Do you wish your photos looked like this and this, but they end up just looking like this? Well, you probably just needed to take your lens cap off. This is the Fujifilm X-T1, and today I'm gonna show you how to get the absolute most out of this mirrorless legend. The first 8 tips will be applicable to most mirrorless and DSLR cameras, and the last 2 tips are crucial for getting the most out of your Fujifilm camera. Wait, what is a mirrorless camera? Well, I'm glad I asked on your behalf. In short, a mirrorless camera is light, compact, and the viewfinder here is actually a screen, unlike a piece of glass in a DSLR. The X-T1 came out in 2014 and was part of Fujifilm's early push into mirrorless tech. And that electronic viewfinder, total game changer. Do not sleep on the viewfinder. It's not a very comfortable bed. Nah, just kidding. It's actually not just for old school shooters. I used to shoot every day on just this back screen here, and now that I use this EVF, I feel like my photography is way better. If it's super bright outside and you can't see the screen too well, you can see anything in this EVF. It also allows you to be more immersed in the photography process. You can stay more focused on your composition, and with an electronic viewfinder, you can actually see exactly how your photo is going to look. Just please make sure you're using it right. Don't do what I did at the beginning and squint with one eye and get all worked up about it. Just relax into it. The X-T1 is covered in dials, and it's kind of intimidating. If you don't know the exposure triangle, ISO, shutter, aperture, then leave most of these dials just in A for now. A standing for automatic. You can start out just by adjusting the aperture on your lens, which basically just controls your depth of field, how blurry the background is going to be. If your photos are too dark or too bright, you can use this exposure compensation dial to add a bit of exposure or subtract. Just -1 or +1 can make a big difference in your JPEG. This camera is super customizable, and that's something that I love about it. For example, I have a button for white balance, another for focus area, and another for my film simulations. These can be set up here in the menu, and don't be scared to mess around with them. You can always reset things if it goes haywire. The Fujifilm X-T1 doesn't exactly have the megapixel count that more modern cameras have, so don't shoot yourself in the foot by reducing the resolution further. Make sure that your image quality is set to fine, or whatever is the highest. Anything lower and your photos might look softer than they should. A great camera can feel like a toy with a bad lens, whereas a cheap camera can feel pro with an expensive lens. Fast lenses, ones with apertures like f1.4, give you that cinematic blur and handle low light way better. Yeah, they're kind of pricey, but think about it this way. It's like putting Prius tires on a Ford Mustang. Invest in glass. It's worth it. A YouTuber I love named Palta Tech put it really well. You date your camera body, but you marry your lenses. This is going to last you for life. This is something that you're going to eventually have to replace. The X-T1 has both a mechanical and electronic shutter. You should almost always use the mechanical shutter by default. It's reliable and avoids weird distortion. Only switch to electronic if you're shooting ultra fast shutter speeds and bright light, but honestly, an ND filter is usually a better solution to this. I always set the camera to auto switch between the 2 types of shutter, but just remember that the electronic shutter can get really funky when there's motion. Holding a camera to your face is a dead giveaway that you're taking someone's photo. Instead, if you want to be more discreet, take advantage of this flip-out screen. This allows you to hold the camera at waist level and look down, rather than looking right through the viewfinder at someone. This is a lot more subtle, and people assume you're just looking through your menus or reviewing photos. This can also allow you to take shots at much lower angles without straining yourself to get down there and see through the viewfinder. For a camera that's over 10 years old, this X-T1 has pretty solid autofocus. That said, set it to single rather than continuous. With single, once you half press the shutter, you're gonna lock in your focus. If you have continuous enabled, then the focus is gonna keep changing, meaning you might just miss your moment. In single, this allows you to also grab focus from another point and then reframe, which is something I mentioned in my Canon S80 video. You could also use manual focus, but that's a topic for another video. I would say generally skip RAW unless you love editing. This camera spits out fantastic JPEGs with Fujifilm simulations baked in. Classic Chrome is always my go-to. I find it desaturates just enough to give your shots a moody and artful feel. I also love the black and white film sims. Between those two, most of my shooting situations are covered. But of course, that's not to say the other film sims aren't worth your time. It really depends on your style and your subject matter. This is a huge strength of almost every Fujifilm camera that's out there. Fujifilm also lets you tweak your JPEG look in camera. You can alter your sharpness and saturation and even shadows and highlights before the photo's even taken. You can then save these as presets and assign them to a quick button, like I have, for switching. This is really like editing your photos before you even take them, which is just so convenient and so fun. You can basically see the finished product before you've even exported it off your camera. This makes shooting way more fun and way more rewarding. This X-T1 may be over a decade old at this point, but it's still a killer camera, especially if you take the time to set it up right. I just love the straight out of camera shots that this X-Trans 2 sensor gets, and the build of this camera is just so solid. If you can afford the Fujifilm used tax, then this is totally worth picking up. Super enjoyable camera and has aged really well. Let me know down below what your favorite Fujifilm camera is, or if you also shoot on the X-T1 to this day. Also, if you like this video, then check out my one on the Canon S80. It's another totally underrated gem. Thank you.